All right, we're recording. So, how you doing, Ro?
Hey, I'm doing good. How you doing today, fam?
Oh, I'm all right, man. So, this is like one of my first, I would say my first three podcasts. So, as for the audience out there, this is the I Brought Receipts podcast. I'm gonna try to look directly into the camera, but I'm looking at my man Rick on the stream here. So, forgive me if I'm not looking directly at you. So tell us a little bit. First of all, I wanted to say that like we worked at Target like what is that 20 years ago or something like that?
Right. It was 1999 to be exact. Yeah.
1999.
Yeah. So, man, we're talking about over 20 years of friendship.
Yeah,
Thing.
dude. So that was some good years, man. Like at Target, hanging out in the parking lot with after work, drinking. I remember John Lee. We used to hang out with John all the time.
So
Just shooting the breeze, man.
it
So
was, man. It was a special group of employees.
I know.
We wasn't just like any regular group. I mean, we actually formed lifelong friendships with that team that we had in there around 99 and 2000. And, not just us, I've seen people on Facebook that met at Target and they're still real friends to this day. So definitely was a special team back then.
Yeah, man. That was my first job. Was that your first job too?
That was actually my second job. My first one was at Mickey D. So
Mickey D?
yes, I moved up in the world with that position.
Yeah, and this is all in Jackson, Mississippi, man. The
Right.
good old SIP. So after that, I know you helped me get the other job with you at Michael's Arts and Crafts too.
That's right. Even back then, I always wanted to be as independent as I can. And even as a young man, at the time, I had a lot of energy. I had a lot of things that I wanted.
Yeah.
So I was actually working two jobs at that time. And Michael's offered me $1.25 more than
Yeah.
Target. So I was like, hey, even with my financial sense at that time, I was like, hey, you're going to give me as much hours and I'm going to get $1.25 raise. And then I pretty much made my schedule at my previous position. So, that's how I kind of got on at Michael's. And of course, I brought you on. The rest was history.
Oh yeah, man. That was good times, good
Yes, sir.
times.
We had fun then as well.
So yeah, man. What did I mention your full name? Ricky Lewis? Did I
That's right.
say that? All right.
You
So
know what? I'm not sure, but just in case you didn't.
exactly. That's what we call it, Roy Jones. That's what you used to call yourself back. You still remember that? Oh man,
Man, you took me back with that one.
you still
Man.
say that?
Wow. And no, sir. I retired that name when he retired. So it was only cool for a couple of years when Roy Jones was hot. And then
I know, right?
after his decline, and shout out to Roy Jones, one of the greatest ever. But after
Exactly.
his decline, I was like, okay, I think it may be time for a new nickname.
Retire the name. So you don't got any names right now?
Really, man, at this point, I'm about to start my first business, and the name of my
Nice.
business is going to be Remica Specialist.
Rimica.
Yeah, I know the name is unique. I'll touch on that at a later date, but it definitely has a meaning. So
Yeah. Okay.
from now on, for 2021, I'm going to be known as Remica Rick.
Rimica what? Rimica Rick?
Rick.
Rimica Rick. All right. So what's this new business, man?
Okay. So I was thinking, right now it's like we got a huge renaissance with entrepreneurs. And I mean, right now you got people, selling some of everything from beads to plates to washing and detail service. Pretty much you name it, people are capitalizing on, peer-to-peer income. Pretty
Yeah.
much taking the
Okay.
middleman out and you going to earn your income yourself, you getting all of the money and pretty much determining what you want to do with it from there. But with that being said, the times have definitely changed in 2021, and you really have to have at least two streams of income to be lower middle class.
Yeah.
And like one income is just, man, you are you walking on thin ice with one income in 2021 because things change so quickly and we
Yeah,
have to
I
adjust.
know.
So with that being said, I wanted to pursue my first business venture. I'm kind of like a follow the road, less travel type guy. So I want to do something unique that I don't see everyone that I'm doing, pretty much participating in. So I did a little research. I've gotten a lot of compliments on my voice. So with that being
Okay.
said, I feel like
Yeah.
that's time. So I'm going to begin to doing voiceovers, professional voiceovers for.
Man, that's what's up.
Yeah, that's right. And that's actually how I have this mic.
Yeah.
Of course, if you want to do professional work, you definitely got to invest in professional material. And I'm still kind of getting my feet wet. I can honestly accept that. I can accept the fact that there's a lot that I have to learn. I
Hmm.
got to get more experience under my belt, but that is, my next venture. So I want to pursue voiceovers, audio books. If I so happen to get a couple of scripts, hey, I'll go for it. But that's going to be the base, and that's going to be my foundation.
Dude, like I know absolutely no one who is doing this. Like I hear about it all the time, like on TV, on podcasts, and that sort of thing. But I don't know anyone personally, so I'm excited to see where that goes for you, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And I will not only keep our viewers updated, but I keep you updated as well. So wish me luck.
Most definitely, man.
Thanks.
Speaking of 2020, so uh, you've been in just give an overview. You're in Canton, Mississippi right now,
Right,
like
right outside.
right outside of Jackson, Mississippi, and
Yeah.
I'm of course in Chicago. It's actually snowing right now,
Oh
like
wow,
9 inches of snow out there right now. But what's the temperature like right down there right now?
man. Right now, I don't mean to rub it in, but it's a nice 57 degrees right now.
Is it sunny?
Not so- we got a little overcast going on right now, but
Okay.
it feels pretty good outside.
All right, cool. Speaking of that, so it's 2021. It's January. It's about to be my birthday. I'm about to be good old 39.
Salute.
Uh, but what I wanted to get is your perspective on like the pandemic and just the chaos of 2020, the pandemic, the election, all of that stuff. Like,
Okay.
what was your personal experience with that, man?
Okay. Now, for me, first of all, I would like to say anyone that survived from January 1st, 2020
Hmm.
to December 31st, 2020,
Hmm.
you should be thanking God right now.
All right.
Regardless of your religious affiliation or whatever,
Hmm.
you should definitely be most grateful, to whomever you believe in for surviving last year. For me personally, look, I got to admit, it was one of the best years that I've had within the last 5 years. And despite everything else that's going on around me, and
Yeah.
I promise you, I'm not bragging. It's more so of a testimony.
Yeah.
So and I'm most grateful because with everything that's going on around us, me personally, I learned a lot. I got more mature. I got wiser. I
Uh
did a lot of studying. I got smarter.
huh.
And
Man.
also, I kind of laid the foundation of setting myself up for going into my 40s as far as, being financially free, as far as setting up my retirement. And,
Hmm.
as far as just really just, preparing myself for the next phase of my life and preparing to, get ready to, settle down, as far as like, my lifestyle and things like that. So, for me personally, man, I got my finances back in order. I got a pretty cool job, no stress, and got great relationships with my bosses. To be honest with you, to put it in a nutshell, the bad days that I had last year, I can count on one hand, and I kid you not.
Man, that's
Back in
what's
2020,
up. Are you serious?
I kid you not, man. It's just it was just a good
It's so good to hear that, man. It's so good to hear that.
it was a good
I
year. Now,
Go ahead.
As far as my thoughts on 2020 as a whole, man, it was just rough. Of course, we all got caught off guard with this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Our lives changed in such an unprecedented manner, and
Mm-hmm.
we all kind of had to adjust on the fly. So, with that, man, it's just now is the best time to come together. Regardless of anything else, I feel like something like that, we're gonna have to unite and fight this thing together. So,
Yeah.
bad year. Hopefully we can get this thing under control. And, at least start to get back to some normalcy.
Man, you don't have to understate it, man. I want to hear more about how amazing your year was, man. Because
Okay. For me, man, it's just like I said, it all started. I got a great job. I'm working from home, and I'm 39 years old, and I'm used to being on the front line.
yeah,
I'm really not. I never pictured a retail manager working from his living room every day. So other than that, man, it's just my personal life is pretty good. Without going into too much detail, it's just
yeah,
it's just everything flow with harmony.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's a good word to describe it. I know I have a cousin that did a army tour in Italy. And
Uh-huh.
I asked him, of course, I've never been to Italy. So I'm like, man, what is Italy like? He said, Rick, the best way I could describe it is harmony. He said, in Italy, everything just flows. He said, if something is out of order, they will correct it immediately.
You mean the Italians or in the military?
No, the Italians will correct it.
Dude, like one of
Because,
my friends, like, he's Italian. He goes back and forth there, and he says the same thing, man.
yeah. So that for my life in 2020, I mean, everything just flowed together. I had a lot of favor. Thank God for that. And it was just gravy, man.
Dude, like, I would say the same thing. I wouldn't say that my 2020 was as amazing as yours was, but um, I think that as far as it taught me a lot about who I found, I delve into who I am really, man. Like,
Okay.
as far as maturing, understand where I want to go next in life. I had multiple streams of income.
Right.
I mean, technically, I lost my job, but like that was really a blessing in disguise. Really,
Right.
um, I just for the majority of the year, I struck out on my own. As I do digital marketing, so I'm always online, and that has some pluses and minuses for 2020. I mean,
Okay.
I think the thing about 2020 that it was some good and bad. And the bad is mostly, I would say, mentally and how I perceive my environment and the people around me. The bad, as far as physically myself, things been good, man. Like my personal life is pretty good. I had a few deaths in the family. No, nothing COVID related, but stuff like that. Financially, I'm definitely above waters. I wouldn't say I'm doing like the best I've ever done before, but I'm independent. One thing that I really realized, man, is freedom. I don't know about you as far as like, and not to get political, but like what struck a chord with me was like the George Floyd protests and like what it means to be Black in America.
Yeah.
And how I really felt. And I was hiding a lot of feelings that I've had. And, I kind of came out in a sort of a way in that perspective. And I realized how much freedom, independence, and that sort of thing meant to me. So, I mean, just I'm skirting the issue right now, but like just to dive a little bit more into that, like, dude, I've been knowing you all my life. You're a Black brother, man. Like, I remember, honestly, man, back in the day at Target, man, dude, I used to look up to you, man. Like, I wanted to, like, you remember when we was getting phone numbers and shit?
Every day. That's all we did.
I used to want to beat you every day. Did not get you some days?
Everybody had their day. It was about 3 or 4 of us.
I
And
was
like
like,
I say,
man, hey, I'm gonna
it's
show
like
up.
who would get the prize. So some
Yep.
days I would win, some days Walt would win. Some days
Yes, man.
you know,
I realize how much I miss that. Like I consider that, I don't know about anybody else in the world, but I consider that part of the Black experience, man. Like that's my experience, and I guess that's the Black experience. But like I really wanted to touch on, like, not some nebulous Black experience in America, but like as far as like what has been your experience, and how can that, like, I guess the question is, how can that like help others? Like we're in our late 30s, about to be 40, or you 40. Like,
well, right,
there's a lot
knocking
of
on
Black.
the door,
What's that?
knocking on the door for
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Black men that are coming up that are like us, was in single parent homes. Like, is there some kind of insights that you learned from last year and combine that with all our experiences over life? So, is there something that can help them, or like, what is that like? Like, what did you learn last year?
Well, as far as what I learned last year, a lot of things that I was already aware of
Hmm.
just kind of boiled over,
Yeah.
and it kind of hit the surface, I would say, in which of course I'm up to date on current events. I'm aware of what's going on.
Hmm.
I do my daily research. I like to stay up to date on things, and in which racism has always been a problem in the U.S. I mean, it kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, by our history, we all know what it is.
Yeah.
So it's not something that we can just flip a switch and say, okay, boom, we're going to put everything aside, put our differences aside,
Hmm.
and love someone. Now, to be honest with you, I didn't really think the hatred was that bad, because for a while,
Hmm.
not as much of it was on the surface, so to speak.
Hmm.
And, to me, it appeared that it was more subtle, during the previous administration.
Hmm.
Whereas within this last administration, more specifically last year, a
Hmm.
lot of the things that, really wasn't, on the surface, not saying that it didn't exist, but a lot of the, I would say, professed hatred,
Hmm.
it's been more publicized this year. And, I think this particular group of people that feels this way, I feel like they, have gotten more vocal last year.
Hmm.
And as a Black man, it helped me realize that, it's still a lot to be done as far as bringing us together. So, that's pretty much what I gathered from last year.
What about your personal experience? Like, not as far as racism, but like, as far as
Now, my personal experience, really, um, I live in Mississippi, which is, we have a deep rooted history, with the
yeah.
civil rights movement and, things of that nature. My personal experience, it hasn't been that bad. I've gotten pulled over a few times, for DWB, driving while Black. But for the most part, more specifically last year,
Yeah.
I didn't really experience any, you know, racism acts directly towards me.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I don't really feel like, I was ever discriminated or anything, well, discriminated against or anything last year. Now, outside of last year, all my life, man, I mean, we can touch on a variety of topics. I know earlier, you and I kind of touched on, trying to get a job as a Black man in America, in which we know we
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
debate. Um, Getting pulled over for DWB. I've gotten pulled over for DWB. I've really lost count at this point in my life.
Hmm.
Keep in mind, I don't have a criminal record. I don't plan on having one. And, I don't want to be treated like a criminal if I haven't committed a crime.
Hmm.
So, other than that, I've lost out on jobs because I was Black. Whereas I know I'm a pretty sharp interviewer. I have a pretty solid resume. I have great experiences. I have reputable companies on my resume. But in certain cases, regardless of how good you present yourself, you're not going to get the job because you're Black. And I'm not making excuses because, I accept the way things are and I am resilient. So, of course, I keep fighting, in which I'm going to get mine regardless. But, at some point, you got to sit back and say, why do I have to try this much harder when this is a land opportunity?
Yeah.
You
know what? So my personal experience is that there was a time in my life, this before I moved to Chicago, like I was driving around and I got pulled over a lot, man, especially in Rankin County. Right. Well, yeah, and you know what? To think about it, the now that I think back, I did try harder. Like I'm a little I would say that I'm a solution oriented person. I don't really think about the implications of things until like after the Oprah, and like I went through a series of like my tag was out of I was driving with an expired tag, and I constantly got pulled over. I remember there was one experience on Old Can Road where like I got stopped, and I think it was for the same thing. I'm not sure, but all I remember is like there was a cop on this side, cop on that side, and they both had their hands on their weapons, and like I was like, I didn't think like anything racial. I was thinking like my wife, like, like you know what I'm saying? like I remember all of that stuff, and like the challenges I had as far as getting my stuff together, getting my shit together, and getting to where I am today. That was a long stretch. But I had this conversation with a lot of people, and I've been in Chicago 10 years, right? So the thing about it, and this is, I'm gonna cringe a little to say this, but it has to be said. The most in Mississippi, I was around my family and friends, and all of us was Black. We already knew what the county boards was on. We already knew that. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it goes, right? But coming here, like I've never been everything was like so racially motivated, man. Like, and when I say racially motivated, I don't mean in a negative way. I mean in a weird way. And just explain that, like I'm around majority white people, right? And like things were about politics. It was more so about the theory of race than like the experience of race. Like I experienced racism now that I think back to Mississippi, but it wasn't a thing that, number one, I'm a logical person, and like that felt like racism, but I can't say it was racism because I don't know what's in that dude's heart. But that felt like it, and I need to be aware of that so I can maneuver around it, right? But that's like my everyday experience. But here it's like you have to almost be a part of this cult, and like I'm the only Black dude amongst a lot of white people, and I have to like say and speak a certain way. And I felt that pressure all like while I was here, even though I felt, I mean, I live in a place where it's like, there's really, I live in North Chicago, like there's all white people and that kind of thing. So it's not really, and most of them are liberal. So they're like super conscious, almost too much conscious of race. But I said all of that to say, I feel like that's a long rant, but I said all that to say that the problems I experience as far as me being Black, and I don't want to harp on this issue, but it's like an issue that needs to be brought up, is that in your mind, me being raised in a single parent family and me growing up in my 30s, because I've been in Chicago in my 30s, I started to notice things like, especially when you put yourself up against your friends who are white, they got the dad and all that stuff. I'm like, how come I didn't know how to do that thing? Because like it's simple stuff like tying a tie, or like going to pay bills, or like unemployment
Hey,
filing for
I don't
unemployment.
mean to cut you off,
Yeah,
but you
go
want
ahead.
to taught me how
Yeah.
to tie my tie?
Who?
My close friend who was about 2 years older than me. That's who told me how to tie a tie.
Yeah, don't.
You
Isn't there a lot of stuff
learn
that in a
from your
single
dad.
parent home that like you don't realize until you get into your 30s? Like, I think my dad is supposed to be teaching me this stuff.
Right.
And that's what I felt. That's when the first time I really felt like, oh, this is what they mean.
That's right.
It's not necessarily the racism that got to me. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like if you're, I think 70% of African Americans are born in single parent homes and you're not raised with a father, and like stuff start piling up, man. You're like juggling stuff. Have you had that experience?
Yes, absolutely. And you are right. Now being 39, you look back on certain things. I know for me personally, anybody I tell you, I'm not no type of handyman whatsoever. It is what
Yes,
it is.
yes, yes.
I'm good at certain things. I own that, but being handy, man, I am horrible. But hey, I can accept that, and I'm willing to learn. And
Yeah.
shout out to YouTube as well. Thank God for YouTube.
Man, thank God for YouTube.
Without YouTube. But to your point, you're right. And that's you realize that looking back on it when you look at your own skills and you look at your own, pretty much experiences and me personally, I think about everything that I've had to learn on my own.
Yes, yes, yes.
I've had to, and fortunately, I've had, you know, great, older cousins and uncles and older friends and even managers that I worked for to be good
Mm,
mentors for me as a black man.
mm.
And I was smart enough to learn, from those positive influences, and which, so I think about that person that wasn't proactive with learning these things that didn't have their father in their home.
Hmm.
How does that go? You got to think about that.
Exactly, exactly.
It's very important, and it's definitely something that we need to figure out. How to address moving forward, and how can we improve this situation rather.
Well, the thing about it, most black men aren't like I look at you and I look at me, like we're here, we're having this conversation. I think that most black men don't have the opportunity to like discuss these things, man.
Right.
Like I didn't even know that this was a thing until I was in my 30s. Like
That's right.
the way I dealt with women, and I noticed that like my friends who are like white. I had an Italian friend, like his family, the way they treated him and the way like he was raised, and I was like, oh, I see. And like the value they put on like relationships, there's like an integrity there. I think a lot of the saving grace, and this may be a controversial thing to say in 2021, but like the saving grace for me in particularly was like Christianity, man.
Okay.
Like I'm not a big like you know me, I'm not a big Jesus person. I'm not like a religious guy, but at the same time, I look back on how I was raised. I was like, if I wasn't like in the congregation back then, where it was older men who were like telling me I saw
Absolutely.
them do things, and like I didn't have a father
Absolutely.
at home, but like you see that, and that was like I I studied that and tried to use that to the best of my ability, but it's like
Absolutely.
growing up without the father in the home can be like it hits hard, especially when like you have to make decisions with relationships, and then you
You're right.
like, I wish I had a dad to call to like, Dad, what do I
Right.
do about this?
Absolutely. In which, I had my friends to call, but they're going to give me a perspective that's really not more mature than mine because we're close to the same age. But
Exactly.
whether we like it or not, whether you accept it or not, we are all products of our environment. And
Yes.
you're raised in an environment without the male in their home, then it's definitely going to affect you for the rest of your life. And shout out to my mom because I have an amazing mom that
Yeah.
I man, superwoman to put it in a nutshell. And she instilled great values in me. She made me a productive, wholesome citizen, and I appreciate her for that. But some things you just absolutely have to get from a man. And I think back to my childhood. I didn't even really know that marriage was normal or common, because
Yeah.
in my neighborhood it wasn't.
Yeah.
We may have had the woman, the mother and the father in the home, maybe at about one house is on each street in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Then anybody that had both parents in the neighborhood, they really stood out like, oh man, he got his mom and his dad at home. That was like a big thing to us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was a big deal. And it's like, I always, I always admired that, because I always wanted my dad in the home. But
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't even pretend to even know how to fix that problem. I guess normalize it and try to, do right by, in your personal situation and serve as an example for others.
yeah. And for the most part, I have to agree with you. It pretty much starts with you. Do what you can. You make positive steps towards fixing the issue with, everything that's in your power, and it starts with each of us. But it definitely makes a difference, and it definitely affects you, growing up. So
Oh man, yeah, cool.
absolutely.
But do you have any? You said over 2020, I think you said that one of the reasons why the year was so good was that you learned a lot about yourself and you had some time to study it. Were you reading any books or
Yeah.
something? What
Yeah.
books were
And
you reading?
with that, um, I'm really just learning, I guess you could say within the past 2-3 years, how important financial literacy is.
Oh, yes,
And
brother.
like I said, it's better late than never.
Yeah.
I can accept the fact that, I am late to the party, but I can also accept the fact that I'm willing to fix that. So within the last couple of years, I kind of started with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is kind of like the foundation.
Classic, dude.
Exactly. One of the best investments that I've made, one of the best $20 that I've ever spent in my life.
Yeah.
Priceless info. Once you begin to go down that path, you
Yeah.
start to realize how much you need to learn. And
Mhm.
shout out to all the guys, all the brothers that has this knowledge. Hey, I salute you. I'm trying to get there with you. But I
Mhm.
started with Rich Dad, Poor Dad. From there, I moved on to Grant Cardone, the 10X Rule.
Oh, the 10X rule. Let me write that down.
Absolutely. The 10X Rule is a great book, man. It's really talking about really just taking it to the next level, multiplying your goals by 10, and also accurately assessing how much effort it takes to achieve the goals that you've set. So great book. If you're looking for something to get you motivated and charged up, that's it.
Is that the same guy who wrote Strength Finders or something?
Possibly. I'm not sure. But
Let me
remember Grant Cardone.
Grant. Okay. Grant Cardone.
Grant Cardone.
Okay, got it.
Yep, and other than that, and let me get my library. And I've
Oh, you got
purchased
a library. What?
that.
Hey, back in the day, we used to have the black book. Now we got
I've
libraries.
got a library. It's so crazy because you're a tech guy. I'm a tech guy.
Yeah.
Man, the technology is it's so cool and neat with what we can do now versus what we can do back then. I feel like a kid at Toys R Us.
Yeah.
But I got Financial Peace, Dave Ramsey.
Oh, financial
That
peace. Yeah.
talks about eliminating debt and getting rich through savings and investments and
Uh-huh.
being financially disciplined. The next one I got is the Warren Buffett way. And that basically kind of sets the foundation for anyone that wants to play the stock market, kind of
Mhm.
gives you an insight on Warren Buffett's philosophies,
Yeah.
his successes, and kind of, how he feels that you should proceed as far as, pursuing investments in stocks.
Cool.
The other one is the cash flow quadrant. That's also from Robert.
That's the second one. Yeah, I read
Yeah,
that one too.
yeah, and that kind of kind of breaks down the difference between business owners, investors, um, employees, and employers. That kind of just separates that. But
Mm-hmm.
still got a couple of books on my wish list. but that kind of laid down the foundation for me. So with those, that kind of got me in the right direction as far as, not only getting financially smarter, but, getting financially free. So,
Oh, man. Speaking of that, know what I was thinking about when you list out these books is that I know me and you were both like single in terms of we aren't married yet, right?
absolutely.
And one person that I've been reading, and I'm actually going to talk with tomorrow. I'm doing a pod with one of my friends, Randy, and me and him, and the dude is a fierce reader. And one of the things that he's reading, and he got me on, and this is a white dude. He put me on Thomas Sowell.
Okay.
I don't think he put me on Thomas Sowell. He put me on I already knew about him, and I was watching his videos. Thomas Sowell.
Okay.
But I was watching his videos, but I haven't read any of his books. But I got the one book. It's called Discrimination and Disparities.
Okay.
Now, the reason why this made me think of that is because there's something that Thomas Sowell was saying, and that the dude is like 90 and he's reading like 60 books or something.
Okay.
And he has a nice documentary. You need the dude. I forgot the name of the documentary. Let me see if I can find it. But the thing is that what he was saying was that one of the things that determines and he's an economist. So he's all about math and numbers, and he's not necessarily like a financial guy. He's just a guy that talks about he's an intellectual that talks about how his focus is mostly race and politics, but it's from an economics angle where a lot of other people like to go the other route. I don't know how to describe it, but what he talks about is that the fact that there's races out there, and I need to bring my receipts on this one,
Okay.
but but I'll check it to see if it's right. But what he was saying, that a lot of races, their success, like when the Jewish community is built on, and that's just an example, is built on men, number one, having kids, not men, but men and women having kids later on in life when they've learned a lot of things and learned how to, have a lot of knowledge about the world that they can pass on their kids, as opposed to having children much older and much earlier in life, in their early 20s, when they are still learning stuff. And I think I'm just saying that this is a positive thing, that you're setting your life up, right?
Right.
You understand you're getting more financially literate, and your kids are going to be much well off for that. They're going to be much more set up for success because of that thing. And that's one of the things that people don't understand when they talk about finances. Even that, there's a lot of other indicators as far as how your kids are going to do. So even the fact that you're reading all this stuff, man, it's definitely a good thing for your kids.
Appreciate it. And my goal for this year, I would like to at least read one book a month, at least.
Yes.
Hopefully by the end of the month, hopefully by the end of the year, I'm doing 2 books a month, but definitely at least one book a month. And I've started with my book for January, which was The Financial Peace for Dave Ramsey. So now I'm kind of considering what's going to be my next one.
This is what I'm talking about, man.
As I read them and I get certain tidbits from the book, I'd be glad to share it with our audience. And hey, man,
dude, that's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
Bring those receipts.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love that quote, man. I got it off of Twitter, man. The other thing is that that reminds me of another book I read called The Slight Edge with Jeff Olson. So you remember, I don't know. Another thing that is I think it's part of low income communities is multi-level marketing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't have any strong thoughts either way on multi-level marketing. But the reason why I brought that up is Jeff Olson. I think he started in multi-level marketing, and one of the things he was saying was that, like, he was saying that if you read 10 pages of a good book every day, that eventually at the end of the year, you will come out much farther ahead than a person who doesn't read 10 pages of a good book every day.
Absolutely.
And The Slight Edge, the entire book it's one of my favorite books, even though it was tailored towards multi-level marketing people. But the thing was that he was saying that incremental changes every day build up into what's the financial term? It's called compound interest, build up like compound interest.
Very important.
And you're like going slow, and all of a sudden, boom, you're taking off.
Absolutely.
And that's the whole point of The Slight Edge. It's really good, man. That's what it reminds me of when you said
Absolutely. I definitely made a note of that, and I'm definitely going to check that one out and put that one on my list. So I'll be looking forward to reading that one.
All right, cool. So tell me about I guess we covered the Black experience, we covered finances.
Yeah.
Here's the one thing that I wanted to touch on. I'm kind of shied away from this thing because it's a lot of flack about the. Let me just say that yesterday when I talked to you, I was kind of laughing to myself because I've noticed that there are a few of us brothers, such as myself, who was on the Trump train.
Yeah. That's right.
And I've noticed from talking to my cousins that the brothers who were on the Trump train were all displayed the same characteristics, like boasting about it, trolling on it, and all of that kind of stuff.
And that was the stigma, that came with.
What's that?
Like Uncle Tom, quote unquote. That was the stigma that came with any black male Trump supporter.
Yeah. So tell me about your boy. I don't know his name. I don't know if he like for you to talk about, but like it made me laugh when you told me, man. Just tell me a little bit about it.
And I have a guy that I used to work with, and shout out to my guy. He's a black Trump supporter, and, in which I guess you could say, I'm pretty much anti-Trump. So we would have, daily discussions on, why he would plead his case for Trump, and I would plead his case for Biden or Obama or whoever else. And, we'll joke with each other. I call him Uncle Tom. He'll call me a Democrat. But the reason
Democrat, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, Democrat. The reason why I mentioned that is to show people that, we can peacefully agree to disagree.
Oh, that's man. Yes.
Whereas with him, one thing that I can respect about this guy is he pleaded his case with facts. And, you can't dispute facts. You can have an opinion on the fact, but facts are facts. And he presented those facts to me. Now, true enough, he did not change my opinion. Mm-hmm. But, like I said, we can agree to disagree. We would regularly trip out on, Republicans, Democrats, the election and everything. So,
yeah,
just kind of, black guys that are Trump supporters, it comes with a stigma.
Yeah. And me and my cousin had the same little back and forth, like almost on a weekly basis. And he was saying like how, his friend who's a Trump supporter, they were like all about it. Like he had I didn't go full MAGA. I mean, like that's too much. Like he had the hat and everything.
Yeah, I was about to ask you where your hat at.
He had the hat. I was like, the thing that makes here's the reason there's a reason why I brought that up, and it's not to be for Trump or against Trump or whatever, but like I brought that up because I noticed something when you told me that story, and I combined it with like what my cousin told me.
Yeah.
I noticed that like there's a certain I did some I wouldn't call it soul searching, but like I would say about 20 to 30% of the reason why, after I had the facts, because I'm a digital marketer, I'm all online, and like, let's talk. I mean, if we want to talk about the news media, I can go all day, man. I have nothing for venom and hatred for them, but but we're not like nah, let's not go there. But what I was gonna say was, as an African American male, as a black man, it made me feel in staying, and I just read this stat. This is my receipt. I just read this stat like yesterday about like 1 in 3 Midwestern black men voted for Trump, and there's a couple of more. Like he doubled the black vote of. He had more black votes than any other Republican since the 1930s or something like that.
I know that.
Oh yeah, it's a lot. I mean, that's a lot more. But the point I'm trying to make is that I sense that there's something in that, and there's something in me that living in where I'm living in this like super liberal city.
Right.
There's something in me that wanted to, I would lash out against the system, or like I felt like I was in bondage or chains to this idea. Like people, this is a big city. I don't know. I think it's 3 million people in this city or something. People will walk up to you and act like they know you because you're black. People will walk up to you and be like, they'll know that you from the South Side. They'll know that you from the West Side, or they'll try to talk to you like some anti-Trump shit, or they'll know you without. It's almost like you're in this prison that you had to escape for. They put you in this prison before they even know you. So it's almost like I felt like it was infringing on my individuality as a person. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of now that I'm hearing stories, I'm connecting with a lot of these black Trump voters. They all have that same like feeling. And the reason why I brought that up is because, have you felt that in the South, as though like you're ideologically cased in a bubble? Like you have to be a certain way, or is that something do you have to be a certain way around white people, or is that in the South, or do you have any kind of experience like that?
I don't really think that that's a regional thing. I think that most of us subconsciously, we're a certain way around, our own race, and we're another way around another race. Not saying that we're totally different, but
Yeah.
certain things you're going to be a little more mindful of, when you're around another race. Whereas when you're with your own race, you can kind of let it all hang out.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. But of course, and like I said, not saying that you have to, put on, so to speak, but
Oh, I miss that song, Put On.
oh yeah, absolutely. But in certain cases, whether you are aware of it or not, you are carrying yourself different. In some cases, you may be speaking a little different, kind of like, working for corporate America.
Yeah.
And what you'll notice is a lot of brothers, when they're at work, they're talking like this, and then you catch them on weekend, talking like this. So
Yeah.
whether we are aware of it or not, most of us, we kind of change to kind of fit the situation or whatever.
Fit the narrative. Yeah, man.
Be more conscious of what we say or what we do.
Didn't you live in Maryland or something? Like,
no.
What did you move from Jackson?
I moved from Jackson briefly. I live right outside of Jackson in Tallulah, Louisiana.
Tallulah.
At the time, yeah, and it's that small. To kind of put it in perspective, the natives call it Baby New Orleans. So
Baby New.
That kind of gives you an idea of the area.
Yeah.
And they took pride in that name, FYI. So.
Really?
And after living there for a few months, they definitely earned the title. But
why did you leave in a few months? Like a short.
Man, after I accepted a job that was in Tallulah, and at that time when I was really evolving as a manager, I was at a certain point where I wanted to get like my first job out of town. It's just I had this thing where I'm ready to venture out of Mississippi and move out on my own, even though that wasn't that far, but it was still a step of getting out of state. So to make a long story short, it was one of the worst career decisions that I've ever made in my life. And it's pretty bad where you go through so many interviews, put in so much effort to get a job, and like the second week there, you realize, man, I've made a mistake.
Oh man.
And it was so funny because I spent my entire time being employed at this particular company looking for another job. And it was that bad. Man, it was 12-hour shifts.
Oh,
4 days on, 3 days off.
yeah.
And it was really like 2 days off because your first day off, you ain't gonna do nothing but sleep.
Yep.
So, I mean, man, I lived from it. I learned from it, and that's the only time that I've worked out of state at this point. That's one of my regrets. I wish that I had taken more positions out of state, but hey, I guess it wasn't in the plans up to this point.
Speaking of regrets, like not speaking of regrets, but like what are your some of your goals for like the next, I would say 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10 years. My number one goal right now is to purchase my first home. That's like at the top of my list.
Mm-hmm.
My number two goal would be I want to begin to accumulate assets.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't have anything that makes me money in my sleep. So, and actually, this is more so of a 1-year goal by the end of this year. I want to begin accumulating assets so that I can begin generating money without actually working, and passive income.
Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for. Also, I would like to grow my business. My mindset is all it's going to take is one job, one big job to really put me where I need to be. Believe it or not, I actually got some pretty solid connections in the entertainment industry in Mississippi as well as LA. So I'm definitely going to be reaching out to those guys to see how they can help me. And then after, I get financially free, get my situation together, get my investments rolling, get my business rolling. I want to buy my mom a house. That right there would be a huge accomplishment for me personally to purchase my mom a house, cash money. So
Cash
those
money.
are pretty much, one of my mentors told me that, you really can't begin to evolve unless you have a purpose. And
Oh wow.
those are
Can't evolve.
and what I mean by that is you have to have something that motivates you enough, to push forward and to go after what you like. And I keep those things at the front of my mind, and that's what drives me every day. So I would like to, you my guy, you're a pretty sharp guy. You've been away from home on your own in Chicago, I might add, which is, that Chicago ain't an easy place to make it.
No, it ain't.
Chicago is right up there with New York and LA, places that'll chew you up and spit you out.
Yeah.
What are some of your goals for the next, I would say, 1 to 5 years?
1 to 5 years. There's similar goals. First, I definitely want to purchase my first property. But I don't want to purchase it per se. And this is, I feel like I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I mean, it's not big, but like I want to purchase some property in Mississippi, but keep working in Chicago. Because I feel like in Mississippi, the property is going to be cheaper to purchase, and I can do more with it in Mississippi,
Absolutely.
and plus Mississippi is home,
Yeah.
The other thing is assets, like you just said. So last year, what I did was I started reading up. I want to learn as much as I can about cryptocurrency.
Absolutely.
There's one book that I want to get about, and he's a brother like us who's like I think he's our age, who wrote a book on cryptocurrency. I want to get that book. I can. It'll take me a minute to find it, but it's gonna be first. It's gonna be in the meeting notes, but it's also I'm gonna share it with you too.
Okay.
But that's kind of a side note because what I've learned with cryptocurrency, and I have a couple of stocks. I have probably about, oh man, I got to share this with you too.
Okay.
I have some ETFs. I'm not an ETF person, right?
Gotcha.
But one of my friends, this Persian man, dude, he is like me and him, like we vibe on a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And it's this collection of ETFs that have gone up ever since they've been in existence.
Gotcha.
So I'm constantly buying those,
Gotcha.
putting money in that. And my number one stock that I'm invested in, and like I what I've realized, and I've been playing with stocks for like, I don't know, 5 years now.
Okay.
What I've learned is like I'm in the digital marketing industry, and I see a lot of companies that I use on an everyday basis, and that I think that's from Robert Kiyosaki's book too.
Okay.
And it's about like play with stuff you know about, right?
Absolutely.
And as a digital marketer, I use Squarespace. I started noticing like around a year ago that all my clients were moving from WordPress as a website engine to Squarespace. Okay. Then when the pandemic happened, I noticed people started using the Square thing on their phone to take payments. That's the same company. Oh, I bought their stocks, and it's been going up.
Gold mine.
Gold mine. So
that was a great investment.
Yes. And the reason why I thought about that is because Shopify is another one, but Shopify is not as good of a buy as Square is right now, because Shopify took off like I think about 5 years ago. Right now, Square is at that position, so it's like we're getting it in good right now.
Okay.
And I've been reading a lot the people that are still investing in Amazon. I mean, Amazon is taking off like last year. So
yeah, absolutely. And Amazon is really, I mean, they're so big at this point.
Yeah, one stock is like 3,100, I think.
Oh wow, per share.
Yes, but it still has room to grow. Because I shop on, I don't want to because I kind of have a grudge against them for like.
Thinking about it, if you did have stock in Amazon, it would make you more inclined to shop with them, because essentially, I mean, you're buying from yourself, you know.
Yep.
Because you have percent ownership, and that's another way that Warren Buffett kind of talks about, you know, getting wealthy. He was like, after you done eliminated, not Warren Buffett, I mean Dave Ramsey. After you've eliminated your debt, now you can begin to invest in the companies that you purchase from. So in a way, if your companies are doing good, then not only is you going to receive more market share, but you could possibly receive dividends as well. So, you know, you're not just
dividends.
Yes, you're getting some of it back in the long run. So it all plays hand in hand. That's where the education comes in at, you know, but you got to get the education first before you do anything.
And that's that, and cryptocurrency, man. I think that's the future, man. Like, and the way I'm learning about cryptocurrency, I'm just like, I mean, I didn't bring this up, but I do a lot of sports betting, only on the NFL and only on things that I know.
Gotcha.
But if I make a winning from that, I push that over into crypto.
Gotcha.
And I'm moving a lot of stuff around in crypto just to understand, because dude, like the way that technology works, it doesn't work normally, like, you know, like moving funds from a bank to a stock or something like that. Like you got to have all these, there's I forgot what they call them, the QR codes that you have to scan to move it from a wallet. Moving it from an exchange to a wallet, and then to it's a lot. But in the way I'm just learning trial by error with that.
Let me ask you a question. I've kind of scratched the surface with the whole Bitcoin thing, but I'm still kind of, you know, a infant in
Mhm.
terms of, my knowledge of it at this point. So I've heard the term blockchain. Where does a
Yes.
blockchain come in at with all of those things that you just mentioned?
Dude, man, I've been just fooling around with it for years, but I'm
Yeah.
just figuring out what a blockchain means. Like
Okay.
a blockchain is basically in physical form, it's basically a spreadsheet. It's like a
Okay.
Google Doc. And
Okay.
what happens is and I could get this wrong. So
No
if we
problem.
get a
Hey,
lot of
hey, we
viewers,
learning.
like please correct me. It's like basically a spreadsheet, right? And
Yeah.
so what happens is anytime a transaction is done, you have what you call a lot of, and this is why it's decentralized. You have a lot of what you call miners, and what they
Okay.
do is they are updating these spreadsheets
Gotcha.
and checking every transaction is checked or verified.
They
in
get
the
paid for
spreadsheet.
that.
What's that?
They get paid for that.
Yes. So
Gotcha.
they get paid in a weird way though. When
Okay.
you mine it, what happens is I think first of all you have to verify it. That's one step. But the other step is how you get paid. You
Okay.
have to, in order for you to mine Bitcoin or mine any kind of cryptocurrency,
Yes.
what happens is you you have to match these what you call a hash, and a hash is like these large numbers.
Okay.
And when I say numbers, these are like numbers that includes letters too.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Kind of like passwords.
Yes, and you have like a machine that you have to match a hash, right?
Okay.
And I guess you have to match a particular hash, and the out of the hundreds of miners, whoever matches that hash, they get paid.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
It's kind of weird, man. The whole thing is weird,
Okay.
but it makes sense when you look at, and that's how you get paid for mining. So the chances of you matching that hash, you have a computer algorithm that like flips through millions of numbers,
Got
and if your number, it's like playing lottery. It's like a
got
lottery ticket. Like
got
you match this hash, and then you get paid.
Okay.
So in order when you're mining, like there, just because you verify the spreadsheet doesn't mean you get paid.
Gotcha.
You are allowed to be in this process where you are like you're in this lottery, and then you
Kind of
get
like you're competing for the commission, so to speak.
yes, you explained it better than I could.
Gotcha. I got
Yes,
it.
you're competing for the
Now,
commission, and it costs a lot of power to do
yeah.
this. These
And the
have big
video, the
computers.
video that I was watching, that's what the guy said. He said his light bill was like $1,000 after
Yeah.
having like doing the blockchain thing and being a miner.
Yeah, and then another person said that to offset the cost of the power that they have to use, they get in these groups and they do it. And
Oh,
if they do match the hash, then they split the income amongst everyone who's in the.
okay.
It's like the web developers stock market or
Gotcha. Gotcha. So
something like
here's
that.
another creative way to make money.
Yes,
Now,
but it's.
as far as my personal experience with
Mhm.
Bitcoin, I was introduced to Bitcoin by a woman that I used to associate with, and she was in it. She studied it. She was in chat rooms, Facebook groups. She invested a couple of $100 in it, and to be honest with you, she actually made a couple of $100 because she got in on that second wave. Whereas, with Bitcoin, you had the first wave where like a lot of millennials, got rich because
Yep.
they got in on it early and it just kept going up. The price
Yep.
of one kept going on up. So then you had the first dip, then you had the second wave.
Hmm.
So the second wave got up, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it crashed at around 25,000 per Bitcoin
Yep.
before the second wave crashed. So then that crashed. So now you got the third wave. The people that stayed in on that second wave and didn't jump ship, they got paid.
Yep. I have two friends. One, and he's a funny guy, man. He's like, he was in crypto like from the beginning,
Yeah.
and actually he was pissed at people because he was like, "Y'all just not in this stuff."
Right.
He got rich. I don't know if he got rich is a relative term, but
I'm sure
he's well paid.
I can believe it. If he was early, everybody that was early, they got paid.
He got paid. And I had another friend who does real estate.
Okay.
And actually, I'm doing a digital marketing course. That goes back to your question about my 5-year plan.
Okay.
Like I'm doing a digital marketing course with him,
Okay.
and he was in the second wave, and he got
Okay.
paid.
He got
Like
paid.
he got paid the week that it boomed.
Yeah.
Like literally, he put like 5K in there or something. Or like
He got paid.
he got
Okay.
paid.
Hey, now, for me, I'm not necessarily sure that me personally, I'm ready to take that risk because even though people are getting rich off of it, just like with anything else that involves investing,
Mhm.
to me, it seems like it's very risky because of how volatile it is. And of course, the stock markets, they go up and down,
Yeah.
but it seems like when Bitcoin crashed, it's like a sharp crash. Because
Mm.
if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the second crash was due to regulation issues or something like that by the government?
I'm not sure. I
Okay.
know. So I know what crash was there. There's a secondary thing to it that I'm actually playing around with in a little. So I only play with like a few, maybe 500 at the most, and I'm just
Okay.
moving around to see how it works.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like I know for a fact that there's like what you call an exchange. These
Right.
exchanges where
Right.
people are borrowing money off of it, and you
Right.
lend money to the exchange
That's
and
right.
earn interest on it.
Right.
That crashed hard,
Yeah.
and a lot of people lost a lot of money because they were making a lot of money for like a year on it, and then it crashed that February of that year. I forgot what year it was. I think that was 2018,
Okay. It was
and
somewhere
it
in there.
and
Maybe
it just
2019.
crashed hard. So I just want to know how. Like I'm fascinated with how it works. So when I get the big bucks, I can like figure out like I don't think it's so. The thing about it is the thing that's worrisome for me. Not worrisome, but like you got to keep in mind is like Bitcoin is only one of the cryptocurrencies. There's
Okay.
hundreds of these things.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Oh
And,
yeah,
and, and I know that you have hundreds of types of Bitcoin. Like because I know it was an app called I cannot think of the name of that app, but it's a very popular app for Bitcoin exchange. And,
the one I use is Coinbase.
that's it. That's the
That's
one
it.
I was trying to think of. So I know with that one, they pretty much have it kind of looks like the stock market when you look at all the different
Yep. Yep.
types of Bitcoin. And which, like I said, the woman that I know, she kind of showed it to me or whatever. So,
Mhm.
I got a little experience with that.
Yeah, it's all types of wallets. It's wallets and exchanges. It can get confusing. That's why I'm like trying to stick with like one thing and like because the Coinbase has an exchange, which she probably showed you. Then Coinbase has a wallet.
Yep.
Then if you want to go to like an exchange where you can earn interest on like borrowing, letting them lend out your cryptocurrency,
Gotcha.
then there's another thing that you have to go through. And
Gotcha.
every time you move crypto in between these move it to different places,
Gotcha.
you got to pay the miner's fee and all of this kind of
Okay.
stuff. So
Okay.
it's a lot, man. That's why I have to read. There's two things, and I think this come from that Slight Edge book too. There's two ways to learn. There's like reading something and learning it, and then actually doing it.
Right.
And I want to make sure that I don't leave out the doing part because I feel like for a lot of years I was just reading about this stuff and not doing anything.
Absolutely. Yep.
So
And I can definitely relate on that. So, hey, like I said, at least we're mindful of it now.
yeah,
It's never too late to get right.
yeah.
That's my mindset.
All right, we've been going for about an hour, man. Like I got a few more minutes if you like.
Really,
Tell me.
man, while we got a few minutes, man, I definitely want to, just take a moment to thank you for this opportunity. This is going to help me grow as a leader and as a presenter. And most importantly, man, I had a blast today. I can't wait to see the playback. I can't wait to show it to my family and friends.
Yeah.
To our audience, this video will also be on my channel as well, The Republic of Uncanny. So
Uncanny. I remember that. That was the other one.
that's my
Uncanny.
nickname. That's right. And I actually forgot to mention that. That was my favorite one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the story behind that name. I'm an X-Men fan.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day when the cartoon used to come on, used to be like introducing the Uncanny X-Men, and I was like,
Really?
yeah. No, and I just like the way the word sounded. So of course I know what it means also, in which I ain't tripping on that. I just like the way it sounds.
Wait, hold on. What? I don't know what it means.
Uncanny is kind of like a puzzle, strange, unique mystery.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So whenever you hear someone says that something is uncanny,
Yeah.
that's what they mean. So, and one other thing, for our audience, I just kind of want y'all to leave some comments on what y'all would like for us to discuss. For me, I'm 35 plus year old Black male with no kids. I live alone. There are certain things that pertain to me that I'm sure a lot of brothers can relate to out there. So, right now, just kind of like laying the foundation, but I'm definitely interested in seeing what our audience would like for us to touch on in the future.
Yeah, I'm gonna share it on all channels. This is like my first I did one last week, but I didn't have my camera set up and all of that. But dude, I'm anxious to see what the voice acting thing is gonna go. That's
and what I'm gonna do this weekend, I'm gonna set up me an account on Fiverr. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Fiverr, but Fiverr is kind of like a peer-to-peer online service where regardless of whatever type of business you do, you can pretty much, find clients for it. And it's kind of like an entertainment career builder, so to speak.
Yeah.
And like for actors, voiceover artists, musicians, performing arts people, pretty much it's kind of like that. And like for voiceover artists, it's a good place to get your feet wet. You got $5 gigs, you got free gigs, $20 gigs, you have major motion picture gigs on there. So I'm going to use that as a platform to get my feet wet. And also, like I said, I do have a couple of people that I know in the entertainment industry. I'm going to reach out to them to see if they can connect me with people that's been doing it and that's been getting paid for it to kind of, give me some insight. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Hey, man, if I make $20 a day outside of my job, hey, to me, that's additional income. So
I'm gonna see if there's some people out here that do that too, and see if I can connect you with them too. I feel like I know a couple of. I've probably ran into a couple of people who do voiceovers.
Gotcha. Okay. And also, do you still do any graphic designs? Because I know you was big on that back in the day.
You know what? I kind of do, but they're mostly for myself. I don't go out. I don't contract with people. I'm gonna design the header for the I brought receipts and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And the reason that I ask is because, I will need business cards. I do have some ideas in mind. And, I was going to kind of just bounce some ideas off here as far as what I want my logo to look like.
All right, cool. Yeah.
So it's a fun project for me, man. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it,
Dude, I'm looking forward to it too, man.
Absolutely.
All right.
You and I touch base off camera pretty much to discuss our next show, discuss some ideas moving forward, man. And hey, let's keep this thing moving.
All right, man. 2021.
All right, you got it, man. I wish you the best of luck, bro. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too, man.
All right, have a good one.
All right.